The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official Aftermath Live for Teofimo Lopez versus Jamaine Ortiz. There's a lot to talk about. You guys know the drill. You guys know the little tradition we have starting here on True School Sports. It is 90 days of boxing. Today is day number 22. It's the beginning of week 4 of our 90 days of boxing live series here on True School Sports. And I got to say, man, I feel like every time I go live, every time I go ahead and I talk to you guys, I feel like throughout this whole process of going live every day, I grow a little bit more as a person, as crazy as it sounds. So you guys are kind of growing with me as I go live. But one thing I'll say too, man, in Vegas, this air is like mad dry out here. There's no humidity, so this chapstick it's a necessity out here in Vegas. But good to be here. A lot to discuss on this live. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk in the boxing world about what has and hasn't happened with Teofimo Lopez in his recent performance against Jamaine Ortiz. So we'll get into all that. Shout out to everyone here. It is the eve of my birthday. My birthday's tomorrow. I'll be 29 and fine as of tomorrow. So I'm so thankful. I'm so blessed that God has allowed me to see 29, because a lot of people don't even get to this point in their life. So I'm so thankful for that. But nonetheless, let's take some time to acknowledge the fine folks that are already here and have already chimed in. So we got Pops. Shout out to Pops. He said, "Happy birthday, champ. I love you. Love you too, Pops." And look, Pops is showing us, he's showing that love. Shout out to Pops with the $20 super chat. He says, "Keep grinding, champion." Look, I'm thankful to a lot of people. I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful to Pops, and I'm also thankful to Al Heyman.
What do you think Al Heyman's doing for boxing PBC?
I'm not sure. I know he's doing great for me. Me and my daughters thank Al Heyman, in our prayers every night. He's changing boxing, but I can't really speak for everybody. I'm speaking for me.
There you go. Thank you, Pops. Appreciate you. I love you, Dad. I'll call you tomorrow, or maybe after the live I'll call you. But good to see you, Pops. Enrique Luna says, "Happy birthday, champ. Keep the lives coming." And thank you, Enrique. I've appreciated you over the years, just watching the lives. Thank you, man. Jesus 7 in the building. He says, "Saludos. What are your plans for tonight?" I don't have any plans for tonight. I'm probably just gonna rest tonight, but tomorrow I'm gonna go ahead and hang out with some friends. So the fun, the real celebration will be tomorrow. I'm just chilling tonight. But D-Lo says, "Happy birthday, BT. Keep up the good work." Thank you, D-Lo. Shout out to you. Thank you for checking in with me, man. I appreciate you. Sean Burke. We got Sean Burke in the building. Good to see Sean Burke. And yeah, man. So look, all that being said, all that being established, let's just jump right into it, man. Because I know you guys didn't just come to see me talk about my birthday and stuff like that. There are more important things in the world. I wanted to talk about Teofimo Lopez and Jamaine Ortiz, man, because there's just so much to unpack. There's so much to talk about, the fight, after the fight, what could happen, down the road. How does this fight impact the 140 division? So we'll start with this. And I really wanted to camp out here and make this point very, very, I wanted to make this point made, because Teofimo Lopez, I feel, really and truthfully, has lost his damn mind. I'm gonna tell you what I mean here in a second. Teofimo Lopez is a fighter that I feel over the years, he's gotten a lot of success. He got success a lot faster than a lot of his, his contemporaries, the young fighters in and around his age. He was able to actually go ahead and beat Lomachenko at an early age. So then there was all these expectations thrusted upon him to continue to push on and continue to build upon that legacy. And he's been a very up and down fighter. That's the reality. He's been an up and down fighter. You guys know the fights. Nakatani, not so good. Comey, a really good fight. Lomachenko, really good. Sandor Martin, not so good. Josh Taylor, amazing fight. Jamaine Ortiz, not such an amazing performance, right? So he's been an up and down fighter, and you really don't know which Teofimo Lopez you're going to get from fight to fight. And I think that all these years of inconsistency, all these years of the pressures of boxing outside the ring, all the issues outside the ring, they all culminated in that post-fight interview, because, man, he was all over the place. He told people to, he told people all kinds of obscene things, you know, on the microphone. He quoted Rosa Parks. He quoted the Bible. He talked about the pyramids. I mean, he was all over the place. And I really do feel really and truthfully that Teofimo Lopez, you know, look, he's like any of us. He's searching for, you know, some peace in this life. And it is difficult because I know that you know, to whom much is given, much is required of them. So I get it. There's a big burden on their shoulders to perform well. But man, I really do think he's lost his damn mind, and I do think that you know, his psychological state of mind, it's playing a role in his performances or lack thereof. So I just want to make that point clear. I hope that he go ahead and get the help he needs, because it's not fun to watch Teofimo. Like for me personally, like I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm friends with Teofimo, because I'm not. I'm not even gonna sit here and say I know him all that well, because I don't. You know, I've known him since I've seen him in passing, and I've seen him at boxing events in South Florida when he was a kid. So I do root for him to do well, even if he wants to never represent South Florida and only represent Brooklyn, New York. You know, I still call him one of South Florida's very own, because he is one of South Florida's very own, and I do want him to succeed. I do want him to do well, but I just hope that he gets the help he needs psychologically, because, you know, he's getting to that point in his career where he's going to be fighting, you know, possibly the Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney winner next. He may still have to take the Subriel Matias test and fight him. You know, and the thing is, he can't go into those fights with the state of mind he's in, because if he does, not only will he will lose and lose soundly, and it'll just be bad for his career. I think Teofimo Lopez at his best, on his best night, as we've seen many times, he can beat any fighter in the world. But then he has these letdowns constantly. So yeah, I was there in the arena. It was crazy to hear everything he said, from telling people, you know, obscene things, to, you know, quoting Rosa Parks, to the Bible, to talking about the pyramids and the pharaohs. I mean, he's all over the place. So you know, I pray for a lot of these fighters. I'm gonna keep Teofimo Lopez in my prayers, because he needs all the prayer he can get right now, because he's going through a lot. You can tell he's going through a lot. You know what I'm saying? D'Lo says that CTE Lopez, that's what messed up, needs help and has needed help for a while, and I would agree. And yeah, look, I agree with you, Edward. I thought Ortiz did enough to win, but we'll get to him. We'll get to him later on. You know, let's stay on Tia, right? Because he has lost his damn mind, and he needs help. And, you know, may God comfort him and give him some peace, because really and truthfully, we see glimpses of the old Teofimo. And when I say the old Teofimo, I mean the Teofimo Lopez that was a contender, the Teofimo Lopez that knocked out Richard Comey, the Teofimo Lopez that you could honestly say was an athletic specimen that was a net positive for boxing. And, you know, I kind of miss that Teo, only because I feel like, you know, when he's at his best, that's the Teo he can be, but he hasn't been that Teo that consistently since, you know, the Lomachenko and Comey fights. You know, I mean, the Josh Taylor fight he was, but Sandor Martin, you know, this fight here with Ortiz, I mean, it's not good to see. I would want to see the young man get every last bit of potential he can out of his career, because I think he's a fantastic fighter, and he still has a lot to offer to the sport. So, you know, make that what you are. But listen, man, one of the main storylines on this live of the weekend, of that fight night, was Teofimo Lopez and Terence Crawford, because as you guys know, I've been talking about it since December, back when I interviewed the WBO president, Paco Barcasel, at the Robeisy Ramirez Rafael Espinoza press conference. I talked to him there in December, and I said, look, Paco, Teofimo Lopez is talking about fighting Terence Crawford. He's WBO champion. The rules state that as super champion, he could petition himself up to 147 for a world title shot at Terence Crawford. Is that a fight you guys would allow to happen? And he shot it down. He said it was nonsense. He said that it's not anything to be taken seriously. But then when you talk to Teofimo Sr., you talk to the guys in Teofimo's team, they're saying something completely different than what Paco's saying. So I've always thought that Teofimo Lopez was serious about fighting Terence Crawford, right? But when you factor in the lackluster performance against Sandor Martin, the lackluster performance against Jamaine Ortiz, and the fact that Terence Crawford is no longer aligned with Top Rank on top of that, I think at this moment in time is officially, you could officially say the Terence Crawford Teofimo Lopez fight, even though, you know, I wanted to see it. I thought it would have been cool. it is officially now at this point a pipe dream. Maybe you could always say it was a pipe dream, but now it's really, really a pipe dream because Terence Crawford was there. He was ringside, and he had a lot of things to say about it. So I'm gonna read to you guys his tweets, and then we'll talk about it after I get done reading it. But here's what he said about Teofimo Lopez's performance against Jamaine Ortiz. He stated the following, and I quote, "He talked all that shit about me and lost. Like I told him, focus on who you fighting, not me. Teofimo Lopez, back to the drawing board you go, you chump. He got a gift and he know it. That's why he's crying. Catch weight what? This guy's crazy, but he knows what's up. He's just trying to use my name for promotion." End quote. So Terence Crawford, with a very spirited and direct and tactful words for Teofimo Lopez. There's also one more tweet. He said in another tweet, "People got to understand that the game is called boxing and not fighting. Hit and not get hit." But I guess a lot of y'all don't know what that means because when y'all see a fighter boxing, the first thing y'all say is he's running. So just a lot of great things to unpack there from Terence Crawford. We'll start with first of all, I don't think Teofimo Lopez is using his name for promotion. I actually think Teofimo Lopez legitimately wanted to fight Terence Crawford. That's the truth. I think if the WBO, the powers that be, would allow Teofimo Lopez to fight Terence Crawford, it would happen. But that's just my opinion. As far as Teofimo Lopez getting a gift and whatnot from Terence, I thought Jamaine Ortiz won. I thought Jamaine won. He made the point, Terence Crawford made the point of the fact that when fans and promoters see a fighter actually moving around the ring, boxing, using lateral movement, counter punching, the first thing they want to say is, "Oh, he's running," or, "Oh, he's not coming to fight." And that, I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me. I don't think I thought Ortiz actually was boxing well. I thought he was boxing well up until about the 9th round. And then in the 9th round, his punch output dipped, and I think he gave some of those rounds away. But for the most part, I thought the performance for Jamaine Ortiz was pretty good, and he actually boxed pretty well. But it goes back to what I've been telling you guys about the devaluation of boxers in this day and age. You only get credit as a good technical fighter in boxing these days when you're the A side. So if that was Shakur Stevenson, if that was Devin Haney, if that was any of the establishment, fighters that love to get on their back foot and box, then you wouldn't be hearing that he was running. You would be hearing that you guys don't see the subtleties of the sweet science, and you hear all this bullshit. But because it's Jamaine Ortiz, that's why you're not going to hear him getting credit and getting any sort of just due for his performance, because it doesn't benefit the boxing industry and the powers that be to go ahead and give Jamaine Ortiz his just due for the performance that he had. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But look, as far as Crawford, I'm a big Terence Crawford fan. He's one of my favorite fighters in history. I know he doesn't want to fight Teofimo Lopez. He thinks it's a joke, right? But he still hasn't said anything as far as what he's going to do next. I know, like Bernie the Boxer on YouTube has said what they're going to do. I know Bomac, and talking to him, I said what they're not going to do. Like they're not going to fight Jerron Ennis. They're not going to, go ahead and fight Teofimo Lopez, right? And Errol Spence Jr., if he fights him, he's going to have to wait a long time to do it because he's got this whole cataract surgery. So my thing is, Terence needs to announce what he's doing next so that the welterweight division and boxing can move forward, because he hasn't fought since July. I mean, what is that? Was it 5? So he's on basically a 7-month layoff now, which isn't too bad. But the fact that he hasn't announced anything, we're getting to that part now where it's looking like he's gonna have a year plus layoff. And so instead of telling us who you don't want to fight and what you're not gonna do and who you think doesn't deserve a fight with you, why don't you actually tell the people who you're gonna fight? Now we've heard rumors that it might be Tim Tszyu. That's a great fight, but nothing's confirmed. We haven't heard anything from Terence himself. So that's why, I never ruled out the Teofimo Lopez fight because, and I always pushed for it only because Terence Crawford hasn't really said what the hell he's going to do. So if he's not saying what the hell he's going to do, and Errol Spence is getting cataract surgery, and you're not going to fight Boots, and, Canelo 3 weight classes above you, then, that's why I thought it was a good, healthy alternative option. So we'll see how it goes. I know Terence Crawford has been here in Vegas sparring Lester Martinez at the Top Range gym. I actually saw Lester Martinez a couple days ago when I was at the Top Rank gym. So I know he's in town. I know that maybe they are preparing for Canelo. Maybe there is some sort of negotiation behind the scenes that us, the boxing fans and the boxing media, aren't privy to yet. So, it is what it is. But nonetheless, he thinks Teofimo Lopez is not that good, and he needs to go back to the drawing board and start focusing on his fight because he feels that Teo is using his name for promotion. So make of that what you will. I think in a sense it's good that he had that performance, and the Terence Crawford fight isn't more of a possibility for him because now Teofimo Lopez will be more in a position now to fight the guys like the Ryan Garcia-Haney winner, Subriel Matias, the guys in his actual weight division. Call me crazy, call me a bit of a boxing nerd. I love when guys fight the dudes in their actual weight classes. Now that's kind of corny to most people, but I like that. I like when dudes fight fighters in the actual weight class and try to prove that they are truly the best fighters in their weight category. So that's my thoughts on Crawford and the TO and the reaction and all that stuff. But let's get some more comments, man. Shout out to everyone here. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable, True School Sports Empire. Let me see. Sean says, such great points. Thank you, man. Jesus says, all this video is attacking Teofimo is not helping him either. I'm not attacking him. How am I attacking him? All I'm saying is that he didn't box that well, which is the truth. And everyone that was at the fight, both fighters got booed. I don't think anybody is watching that fight saying that Teofimo Lopez should be a top 10 pound fighter at this moment in time. That's not hating. Like, I'm not hating on Teofimo Lopez. I'm not attacking him. I'm only just reviewing and recapping some of the things that were said. Teofimo Lopez is a fantastic fighter. I think he's better than he showed that night. But look, he's shown a problem in his career. It's been a reoccurring theme with Sandor Martin, Jamaine Ortiz. These fighters, a lot of these southpaw fighters have been giving Teofimo Lopez problems. A lot of these technical fighters have been giving Teofimo Lopez problems. So it's not attacking him. I'm gonna get to I'm gonna get to some positive stuff for Teo in a second. Just be patient. Eddie Morales, good to see you, champ. He says I had an 8-4 for Jamaine Ortiz, and you know what? I mean that's a little wider than I had it, but I thought Ortiz won. So boxing is hit and not get hit, not run and not get hit. Ortiz wasn't running. Yeah, it wasn't running. I don't understand. Like people gotta make me understand this whole running thing, right? How do you run in a ring? Have any of you guys actually been in a boxing ring? Like, do you guys know how lonely and how small a boxing ring really is? It's impossible to run in there. If Ortiz is able to utilize the ring and move and use his feet, it's because Teofimo Lopez doesn't have the quality or the skills to cut the ring off, and that's not hating. Ortiz moved around the ring the whole fight. There were many times where Teofimo Lopez had this guy in the corner, couldn't keep him there, and allowed Ortiz to consistently get back to the center of the ring and box the fight he wanted to box, execute the game plan that he wanted to execute. So that's not on Jamaine, that's on Teo. Murataya versus Keyshawn. It's a great fight. I think it's the fight that Top Rank should be exploring to make more so than Keyshawn versus Teo, but we'll see what happens. Shakur Stevenson didn't even fight. Jamaine was actually exactly. That's my thing. Shakur Stevenson has had performances just like Jamaine Ortiz, if not worse. And I've heard Bob Arum say that Shakur Stevenson is better than Marvin Hagler, and he's the closest thing to Floyd Mayweather, and this, that, and the third. But when Jamaine Ortiz actually boxes decently, now it's a problem. People here nowadays don't know what the rules are. I know what the rules are. I know the rules are very well. You know what I'm saying? Nakatani versus, and shout out to Johnny, Nakatani, Cambosos, Ortiz, exactly. Those have all been the performances where Teofimo Lopez hasn't been his best and has shown chinks in his armor. Masayoshi Nakatani, George Cambosos Jr., which I didn't even mention, but you mentioned it. Jamaine Ortiz, Sandor Martin, Sean wants to know, can I have your opinion on the Canadian cruiserweight ranked #1 WBC Ryan Rozicki? When do you think that fight will happen? A title fight? I'm not sure, but I like Ryan Rozicki. He's a fun fighter to watch. He's someone that I think is great for the cruiserweight division. I wish they would get him on TV more. Shout out to his promoter Dan Otter from Three Lions Promotions. I had a chance to meet him at the WBA convention. They're good people. They work very hard to promote him out there in Nova Scotia, Canada, and he's a very fun fighter. I just wish he had more exposure. But comes forward, He doesn't even care about getting hit. He just throws caution to the wind. He's a fun TV fighter who I think with the right opponent could win a world title, you know? Johnny says, Teo beats Matias. Teo is a mid-range fighter. Matias comes forward. Teo is going to look good. Josh comes forward. Comey, even Loma comes forward. Fights he struggled with was all on the back foot. Exactly. I agree. And it's all well and good. You know, you're not wrong with the other things. It's all well and good to talk about fighting Sabrina Matias, but I just want, whether it's Teo or somebody else, I just want somebody to fight him, because I've heard every fighter in the world make an excuse not to fight him. But look, I've heard Sabrina Matias saying Teo didn't want to fight him. I've heard Teofimo Lopez and his team say that Sabrina doesn't want to fight him. Time will tell all. I don't mean you talking about a lot of boys. Okay, I got you. Thank you for clearing that up. Johnny says, by the way, I believe it's hit and don't get hit and be in position to hit again. Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's true. To me, both of them lost. They didn't entertain us. They might lose their fans. I could see that. It was a fight where I think both fighters really and truly failed to establish their game plan and what they set out to do. And as a byproduct of that, it didn't make for the greatest fight in the world, you know? So you're not wrong. I ain't mad at you for saying that. But as far as Teo, getting back to Teo, oh yeah. As far as Teo, right? Because this has to be discussed. You know, they just made the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight. That's signed, that's sealed, that's delivered April 20th. And you got to think that Top Rank, Bob Arum, the fine folks there, they're going to be looking to make that fight, if not next, by the fourth quarter of this year, because the reality is, you know, these guys all have experience now. They all got some skin in the game. They've all been champions. They've all made a little name for themselves. So these fights got to start happening. And just to break those potential matchups down, if Teo is having problems with boxers right now, you know, with guys like Sandor Moore and guys like Jamaine Ortiz, you know, these types of fighters, what do you think is going to happen when he fights a guy like Devin Haney, who is a master at range, who has, you know, also I think at 40, he's filled out very nicely at 140. He's punching harder at 40. He's someone that I think is going to be able to manipulate the ranges with Teofimo Lopez very, very well. So, you know, I favor Devin in that fight. I think whether Ryan wins or Ryan loses that fight against Devin, that's the big fight that Top Rank needs to try to explore, because that was a fight that was discussed. I know that it wasn't taken because Teofimo Lopez and his team felt they got lowballed. And there's some other things I know about that I can't really say on here because it was personal information that Senior disclosed me. But that's the fight they should make, because that was the fight that they were supposed to make. Teo was supposed to fight Ryan on February 8th, a couple of days ago. It was supposed to be Ryan versus Teo on Super Bowl weekend, not Teo versus Jamaine Ortiz. So I feel like, you know, Teo and the powers that be, they kind of fumbled they dropped the ball, because with Vegas getting its first ever Super Bowl and boxing in Vegas kind of losing its foothold a little bit, I thought that a Teo Ryan fight would have been the perfect opportunity to remind the world of, hey, you know, Las Vegas is a fight town. Las Vegas is somewhere where, yeah, we got the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, we got the Raiders. Yeah, we got the other things going on here sports wise, but this is the fight capital of the world. And I just think that, you know, Team Lopez and the powers that be and Top Rank and all parties, well, they just didn't see the big picture. So I would like, honestly, for Teo, for him to definitely go ahead and try to get that fight by the end of the year or the early part of 2025, because that's a winnable fight, and that's the kind of fight that's going to you know, do well for him. As far as what's next for Teo, you know, he said himself, he had a tweet where he said, and I'll read it to you guys. This is what Teofimo Lopez said in this tweet. He said, and the following, and I quote, "If I'm so easy to beat, make the calls earlier next week. I'll be having lunch with Bob Arum to talk about my next fight. I told him that I plan to fight in Honduras in April or June and defend my title." So there you go. So look, I'm not really so sure how on God's green earth he's gonna fight in Honduras. Honduras isn't a fight. Honduras isn't somewhere I would be led to believe that would turn over a large profit. So I'm not sure how keen Top Rank is on the idea of doing a fight in Honduras. Honduras is not a country that's has a rich economy. Honduras, I don't think would have any venues with a site fees or anything. I just don't think it's a place where he'd be able to turn over the kind of money that he want to, Top Rank would want to. And on top of that, you got to factor in he just had a lackluster performance. So I don't think Top Rank's going to throw him a bone after his lack of performance against Jamaine Ortiz. So as far as that, I don't know about that, but I'll like to see Teofimo Lopez back out in May or June. Stay active, stay sharp, continue to go ahead and just let the world know that he's here and he's here to stay and he's going to be a factor in this 140 division. And yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But let me read some comments. Shout out to everyone here. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. 90 Days of Boxing, day number 22, the night before I turned 29 and fine before my birthday. My man Raw Dog says that style Ortiz box didn't resemble a world championship quality fight. As I watched, I couldn't help but think how fighters of the past actually fought with such intensity. You're not wrong. That's where I can't hate, because I can't even disagree with you, because a lot of times I'll go back and I'll watch old fights, and I can't watch old fights too much, because what winds up happening is I get real discouraged and I start really hating on all the fighters now. And then I go into these videos and it makes me like talk bad about the fighters. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to be like that. So, but I'm not, I agree with you. Like when I go back and I watch the fighters like Marlon Starlin and Thomas Hitman Hearns and Roberto Duran and, Alexis Arguello, the intensity of those fights stick out like a sore thumb. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So the only contact in the fight was a headbutt. Yeah, I mean, that was probably the most significant punch of the fight. Johnny says, what about even a guy like Richard Hitchens? Listen, Johnny, you and I both know that I'm not no big Richard Hitchens fan. But look, we see Teofimo Lopez struggle with boxers, long rangey boxers in particular. Jamaine Ortiz was such. Richard Hitchens is a long rangey boxer, one of the best jabbers in the entire sport of boxing. I think Teofimo Lopez will have his hands full if he fought Richard Hitchens. And Johnny says, if Ryan loses, wouldn't mind a Ryan Garcia versus Hitchens Gustavo Lemos winner. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of fights to be made at 140, and that's gonna be that fight right there. Really and truthfully, is the sleeper fight in the 140 division. That Hitchens Lemos fight, because Hitchens has a great jab and he can box, but Lemos, I'm telling you, Lemos is he's punching like that for real. So you got to make sure he stay tight. What big name fighter is gonna want to fight in Honduras for free? None. I don't really see how the hell that's gonna work out. So to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if when Bob and Tio go to negotiate their fight, if there becomes problems between those two, because Bob is a smart, shrewd businessman. He's not just gonna go to Honduras for the sake of going to Honduras. So the dollars are gonna have to make sense if he goes out there. Johnny says Vegas' number one thing is the hockey team now. We live in the desert. Yeah, exactly. And again, boxing not having a big fight on Super Bowl weekend is a crime, and it's really an indictment on where big time boxing in America is. Teofimo Lopez versus Jamaine Ortiz is a good little fight. It would have been a good fight on any other week, but when you have like a Super Bowl weekend, you're supposed to have like big, top upper echelon, creme de la creme matchup. I mean, there was all this talk from Top Rank. I was there the whole week. They couldn't go 5 seconds without mentioning the fact that there was the Super Bowl in town, and they talked about how there was 300,000 people coming to Vegas and how it was the biggest weekend in Las Vegas sporting history. And let's just be real, I was there. They couldn't even stop the Mandalay Bay on Super Bowl weekend. So that should tell you that there was a ball dropped from Top Rank and the matchmaking and the magnitude of fight that they decided to put on, which I can't fully blame on them, because I know that the intention wasn't Teofimo Lopez versus Jamaine Ortiz. The initial intent was Teofimo Lopez versus Ryan Garcia, and it didn't happen. So that's why we got Jamaine Ortiz. And the new you're funny. Ramirez went to Golden Boy Promotes after failing to reach. Yeah, I know. Many successful fighters of the past boxed in a similar style to what Ortiz employed, and they undeservedly got labeled as yellow. Sadly, Top Rank Top Rank probably is appraised as more than the whole economy down there. Yeah, I guess. But last thing, one of the last things I wanted to talk about as far as Tio before I get into Jamaine Ortiz. Look, the good thing about Tio is that if he want to fight, he can still take the Subriel Matias test. Like, Subriel Matias has a fight against Liam Paro. They're saying it's going to be summertime in Puerto Rico. That's a good fight. It'll be Matias's 5th undefeated fighter in his last 6 professional fights. So it's not going to be easy. Liam Paro is no punk. Liam Paro can box. He can punch. He can slug. He's a good fighter. He's a top contender. And it's his first world title shot. So you got to expect that Liam Paro is going to go there for the gusto, go there to become, the next Australian champion. But if Matias gets past that opportunity, there shouldn't be any reason why we don't look at Teofimo Lopez versus Jamaine Ortiz next, because, Matias is now going to be a matchroom fighter. He's going to be on the zone. We've just seen it recently. Bob Arum will work with other promoters for unification fights. I was just at a co-promotional press conference for Sinisa Estrada and Yokasta Valle. That's Top Rank and Golden Boy. We've seen in the past. Top Rank versus Top Rank versus Matchroom when they did Jose Ramirez versus Maurice Hooker. So Bob Arum has a history of making those fights happen. If there was ever a unification fight, if there was ever a cross-promotional fight in boxing that needed to get made in this calendar year, it would be this fight, because I don't foresee Ryan Garcia or Devin Haney fighting Teofimo Lopez at the end of this year. I just don't. I think, Devin will fight Ryan. I think Devin will probably beat Ryan. Top Rank just signed Sandor Martin. He'll probably finish the year up fighting Sandor Martin, and that'll be his 2024. So if we're talking about big fights, we're talking about extravagant events, we're talking about what is the kind of fight for Teofimo Lopez that could, maybe remind the world of how good he is, and kind of get the sour taste out of our mouths, the boxing fans and whatnot, out of the lack of a performance he had against Jamaine Ortiz. That's got to be the fight, because the reality is nobody's fighting Subriel Matias. They're not eager to fight Subriel Matias. And unlike other fighters, Teofimo Lopez did make some comments about Puerto Rican fighters. He said that, no Puerto Rican fighter currently in boxing can beat him. So you can't make those kind of comments. You can't talk that level of cash shit and then be like, oh, well, I'm just not going to fight him. I'm just going to go do what I want to do and not have to prove it. If you make claims that bold, you got to actually go ahead and you got to go make those fights happen. So Subriel Matias, Teofimo Lopez, that's why we need in boxing, because I think it's a winnable fight for him too, because Johnny kind of made a point about it earlier in the comments. Matias is going to be hit. He comes forward. I think his defense has tightened up a little bit. Like, he's not getting hit as flush as he was, let's say, 3 years ago when he was fighting Jukumbayev. But he's a fighter that now has tightened his defense enough up to where he's actually able to throw more punches and have a higher punch output and beat guys down even quicker. So that would, to me, whoever takes that fight, I don't care if it's Tio, I don't care if it's Haney, I don't care if it's whoever takes that fight of the big names is going to get all the respect in the world, because this guy's a champion, but the money ain't great, and he's still, not the most known to people outside the hardcore boxing community, this little bubble of the hardcore boxing community. So people want to see Matias in a big fight, and I do too, because I feel like when you look at his resume, a lot of the guys he's beaten haven't been big names, of course, but they've been live bodies, real good fighters, like Jukumbayev and Ergashev. A lot of fighters that these guys wouldn't fight. A lot of fighters that might even have more success against them than they had against Matias. He's having great, impressive performances. Even in his one loss, when he got beat up by Petros Anion, he came back, he avenged the loss. So he's kind of got the whole Gaio Estrada effect going on. He's got the whole Lennox Lewis effect going on, where he can make the claim that anybody he's ever stepped foot in the ring with, he's defeated at some point in time. Nobody ever got over on good old Subriel Matias. Teofimo Lopez can't say the same, because George Kambosos Jr., he didn't beat him when he was a heavy favorite, and he can't get the rematch. So, George got one over on him. D'Lo says, Matias is a much better boxer than people realize. Despite all those KOs, he's almost always ahead on the cards. He got my attention with how he dismantled Malik Hawkins the way he did. That was one of the first performances that put him on the map. And you're making a great point, D'Lo. They always talk about what he can't do, what he doesn't do, what he doesn't have. But Subriel Matias is a fighter, like you said eloquently. He's never, all these knockouts he's gotten, it's not like he had to make a dramatic comeback. Like it wasn't like a Andy Lee, John Jackson situation or a Deontay Wilder situation where he's down on the cards. He's beating the shit out these dudes, and he's up on the cards by not just one round, not just 2 rounds, but more than a couple rounds, right? So I think people need to stop disrespecting Subriel Matias and give him his just due, because he is, for my money right now, Devin's still proving himself at 140. Teo still proving himself at 140. All these guys that have the big names that the media and the establishment are bending over and kissing their behinds, they're all still trying to prove something at 140. The guy that's champion, that's battle tested, that's tried and true, that's actually went ahead and beat real live competition on a consistent basis, having great performances. It's not Teofimo Lopez. It's not Devin Haney. It's Subriel Matias. So, in my opinion, in my perspective, until somebody goes and beats him, no, they're not truly the man of the division. I mean, T.O.B. Josh Taylor, so I'll give him his just due. But I'm saying right now, of the current landscape, Subriel Matias is the guy to beat. And for Teofimo Lopez in particular, because of the comments he made about Puerto Rican fighters, you can't make those comments and not stand on what you say. So by the end of this year, I fully expect, because I've talked to Teofimo Lopez Sr. multiple occasions about this, once in December and once last week, or earlier this week, I should say, when I was covering the fight. He says they'll fight him. He says they're in it for greatness. They're in it to collect belts. Okay, so we're going to see. If Subriel do what he got to do against Liam Paul, we're going to see. I hope he takes the test. Is Sandor going to be on the guard? I don't know yet. I have no idea what's going to happen with Sandor or who will be fighting. But, yeah. How come Rakhimov fight versus Nunes didn't happen today? I don't know. I know it's next week. It's the 17th. I wish it would happen today. It would have been nice. Jesus wants to know, what's the next fight that you're going to? That's a great question, man. So Golden Boy's having a card in about 5 or 6 days in California. I'm in Vegas right now, so California ain't too far. They're having it in the LA area. It'll be Jojo Diaz, and then you'll have a couple of prospects. 2 of the prospects on that card are Eric Tudor and Sasha Tudor from South Florida. So I want to go and support them, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to that card. So if I don't go to that card, if I don't go to that show, I'm thinking the next card I wind up going to will probably be Odabek Komatov versus Raymond Ford. I think I'm gonna wind up going to that fight, and that'll be March 2nd in upstate New York. And I'll be out there with my good buddy Angelo Leo, because Angelo has informed me that he'll probably be at that fight, and he wants me to go with him. So if I go, that's who I'm going to be with, and we will see who the WBA champion winds up being. It should be a great fight. We talked about it a lot. Komatov and Ford. I'm really interested. I'm intrigued to see the approach of both fighters in that fight. To me, that's one of the most interesting fights in boxing, Ford and Komatov. So if not, Jojo Diaz fight on the 16th with the prospects on the card from Tudor and Eric and Sasha Tudor. If not that fight, then probably March 2nd with Komatov and Ford. But in between now and then, I'm going to be here in Vegas. I'm going to be going to the gym, so expect a lot of interviews. I got 4 interviews scheduled that are going to be dropping. So look out for those, and there's more coming. So I'm going to be here in Vegas the whole month, because I'm out here right now. I'm staying in an Airbnb. It's me and my boy Eric Lances Jr. He's out here in Vegas looking for the best sparring. So if there's any fighters out there watching this, if you're a 40-pounder, if you're a 35-pounder, if you want some work, Eric Lances Jr. He's here. He'll spar anybody, and we're looking for the best work. So definitely going to be out here, with him the whole month, making it happen. D'Lo says his dream fight at 140 is Matias versus Gary Anton. Yeah, it's a good fight, man. I just want Gary Anton Russell to go ahead and make some fights happen. He's been on the shelf, not really been doing a whole lot. Much respect to you and Pops. Yeah, much respect to you, Joseph Torres. Good to see you, champ. And D'Lo says it's after midnight Eastern Standard Time, so it's official now. Happy 29th birthday. Thank you, D'Lo. Appreciate everybody. It's good to be 29. I can't believe it. Been covering boxing since I was 21, right? So I'm here. If y'all want to show some birthday love with a super chat, there it is. It's my birthday, so go ahead with the super chats. Hey BT, do you think Ryan versus Devin is WWE? It felt a little like, look, they're promoting a fight. The Golden Boy Promotions PR lady was standing like 10 feet behind them during the whole altercation. They're at the Super Bowl media week. So what do you think? What do you think it's gonna be? What do you think there's gonna be some level of theatrics, But when Ryan told Devin, when he said, "You're not my friend," that was pretty funny. Al Pal said, "Happy birthday! I thought you was 13." Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. I'm the handsomest 13-year-old there's ever. I'm the most handsome 13-year-old there's ever been. He says, "You ain't going to Florida anytime soon." Then I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to say because things change all the time. But I think I'll probably be in Vegas the whole month. I'll probably be back in Florida sometime in March, but I don't know yet. Do you think, and this is from the guy, the representative, do you think out of all the sports, boxing fans are the most disrespectful to their own athletes? I don't hear NBA or NFL guys trash their athletes like boxing fans do. I think there's disrespectful fans in every sport. I think boxing fans are some of the most passionate fans on earth, and I think boxing fans are some of the most raw and unfiltered fans on earth. As far as those other sports, I mean, I don't really hear like for example, if I'm a big hockey fan, right? So if the Florida Panthers beat a team by a goal, they don't say, "Oh, they look like trash and they didn't do well." They just say they won, right? And boxing, it's not like that. It's just different. It's hard. I don't like comparing boxing to team sports because I feel like when you support a boxer or you follow boxing, it's just different when you follow boxing or any other combat sports to team sports. Shout out to my man D'Lo with the super. Thank you, D'Lo, for the $5 super chat. We appreciate you. I'm happy to be here, man. Honestly, happy. I can't believe I'm 29. I waited so long to get to this age. You guys don't understand how long I've wanted to be in this age range. Like 18, like 29, 30, 31. I feel like I'm really coming into my own as a person, and great things happening in my life, and it's all kind of beginning to unfold as I've been doing this whole 90 days of boxing live series. I feel like you guys are starting to see some of it. So, appreciate you, D'Lo. And again, I've got another super chat from my man, Slap Happy Gorilla Daddy P. I never seen you in the chat, but I appreciate you. He says, "Happy birthday, champ." And look, we're thankful. We're blessed. We want to thank our unofficial sponsors, Big Baby Miller. Tell them who the unofficial sponsors of True School Sports have always been.
Vienna sausage, cinnamon buns, Wonder Bread, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar.
Appreciate you, champ. Thank you. Oh my God, here we go again. Al the Powell. He says, "Go get you a lap dance for your birthday." You know what? I might need to go ahead and do that. We might need to go ahead and do that. Appreciate you, Al. Again, Big Baby Miller, tell them who our sponsors are once again.
Vienna sausage, cinnamon buns, Wonder Bread, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar.
There you go. Yeah. Appreciate it, man. I'll make sure I put it to good use. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Appreciate all the love. Hey, Jesus Rodriguez wants to know, what am I gonna do after the live? I'm probably just gonna chill and go to sleep. I don't got anything planned right now, so I'll probably just maybe get some work done, and after I get some work done, maybe make some phone calls, talk to some friends, and nothing too crazy. The real celebration ain't until tomorrow. So tomorrow, I know that I'm supposed to go see some of my friends here in Vegas and watch the Super Bowl. So it should be fun. My man right here says, I love your interview with Lionel Thompson. Yeah, man, it's always great having him on here. Lionel Thompson's a great boxer mind. He always speaks his mind. He always he's a fun listen, right? He's a fun listen when it comes to boxing. So I'm glad you enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. What's good, Alex? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Have you made a move on any of the pro box ring card girls yet? Nah, man. I when I go to these fights, I keep it professional. I don't really worry too much about the ring card girls. Plus, the pro box ring card girls really ain't for me. They ain't my type. I'm focused on just being successful. I'm not really too worried about girls right now. Just focused on what I got to do. But I appreciate the question. We got a super chat from my man Edward. He says, "Happy birthday, my guy. My nephew sparred 17 years old and he did good. What's the next big fight?" Well, first and foremost, Edward, shout out to your nephew. Tell him that I told him to keep up the good work and to train hard and to do his best and to make every day count, because if you work hard and you truly put your best foot forward in life, no one can stop you. And as long as you believe in God and put your trust in the Lord, he'll meet you where you're at. As far as the next big fight in boxing, I think it's not a big fight, but again, for me, it's a big fight. Is that Odebek Komatov versus Raymond Ford fight? That's the fight I'm really looking forward to, because I feel like people have their questions about Raymond Ford like I do, like so much so to the point where Raymond Ford is getting pissed off and talking about me on his Instagram, which is cool. All publicity is good publicity, so shout out to Raymond Ford. But he thinks I'm a hater and he wants to shut people like me up. So obviously he wants to become champion. Odebek Komatov is known to people in the boxing world, but he's not really known to the boxing fans. So it's a good fight, and the winner of this fight is going to be in the featherweight champion for the WBA, and looking at a potential unification fight against the winner of Renato Lopez versus Rhea Abe on the same undercard. They're fighting for the IBF belt. So for me, that's the next big fight. But you still got some good fights before then. You got like Eduardo Sugar Nunez. You still got him versus Rakhimov next week for the IBF Eliminator at 130. You got Oshaki Foster versus Abraham Nova next Friday. You got Sevenathan Ochinga versus Adrian Courier for the IBF light flyweight title. There's a lot of good fights coming up. Maybe not the biggest fights, but real good fights. BT, have you ever been hit on by a female boxer? Do I like aggressive girls? No, I don't like aggressive girls, man. I like women to be women. I like nice, soft, beautiful, feminine women. So no, I don't like aggressive women. As far as have I been hit on by a female boxer? I have before, but I'm not going to disclose who that is here. But I have. It's happened. Did I meet Snow Queen LA? I actually I met her. What day was it? I think it was the day of the press conference. I saw her on the way out, and I said hello to her. That was about it. She's a nice person. He likes the Don King ring card girls, Level Sports. I do like them a bit more. I'm not gonna lie to you, than the pro box. If I'm being honest, I do. Yeah. Shout out to Al the Pal. Stop being cheap. I appreciate it, Al the Pal. We appreciate you. When will I get Bo again? I don't know. Riddick Bowe, he lives in the Tampa area, so I kind of just see him when I see him. But I saw him in December, and hopefully I see him again. I love Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe is the person that is a big part of the True School Sports story. There were times, I've done everything with Riddick Bowe. I've trained with Riddick Bowe I talked to Riddick Bowe about God. I remember one time, like years ago, with the last girlfriend I had, he was giving me relationship advice. I mean, Riddick Bowe is my guy. I love Riddick Bowe. So hopefully it's soon. I want to give no F's like Drake, man. That dude has a. I don't know what you mean by that, but last point. All right, my last point that I'm gonna make, and then we'll just freestyle it from here on out. But let's talk about Jamaine Ortiz, all right? Because Jamaine Ortiz, irrespective of the loss, he's been very competitive against Vasily Lomachenko. He was very competitive against Teofimo Lopez. That can't be refuted. Whether you thought he won or lost those fights, he was in both those fights. So I think he's established himself as a world-class fighter. You know, he's beaten some good fighters along the way, like Nahir Albright, Joseph Adorno, Suleiman Tagawa. So the question for Jamaine Ortiz is, what the hell is next for him? Because, you know, I think it's pretty fair to see he's not going to ever get the, you know, the luck of the draw against the A-side fighters. That's just not his MO. That's not the story of his career. He's got a small-time promoter behind him with Jimmy Birchfield of CES Boxing. So that's just not going to be what happens for him. But what are some good, you know, some good fights out there for him? When you really survey the landscape of 40, the guys he could fight, I think there's good fights out there for Jamaine Ortiz. Personally, I would like to see him fight, you know, maybe someone like maybe him against, I mean, boxing fans may not like it, but I think like Jamaine Ortiz versus Sandor Martin could be a good fight for Top Rank. You know, Sandor would just sign with Top Rank. That's a fight that I think would be, you know, a good litmus test for Sandor Martin and Jamaine Ortiz. A good even fight. Jack Catterall's another one. You got Richardson Hitchens. You got Nestor Bravo who's looking for a step-up fight. There's a lot of good fights out there for Jamaine. I just think Jamaine needs to definitely get to a stage of his career, and he needs to really internalize this, which is the fact that when you fight these A-side guys, you're already down a couple rounds. Like, you're not going to get the luck of the draw. You're not going to get the nod in a close fight. So you can't go in there with the mentality or the game plan to box well and just win on the cards. You have to literally go in with the mentality of either I'm going to win 10 rounds outboxing this guy clearly, like Bivol did against Canelo, or I'm going to step on the gas and knock this dude out, you know? Who do you know what? I want to know from you guys, who do you want to see him fight? What do you guys think is the next, like, good fight for Jamaine Ortiz? I'll tell you a good fight for Jamaine Ortiz, and I think it'd be a good little crossroads fight because both these guys are coming off losses, you know? You had Shojahan Ergashev get absolutely destroyed and just exposed, you know? I don't want to yell exposed because I'm in this Airbnb and I don't want to wake everybody up, but exposed, right? He got kind of exposed in a sense against Subra Matias. Ortiz lost a very close but controversial decision to Teofimo Lopez. So I think that could be a good style match because Ergashev is going to go look for the fight. You know, he's going to be an aggressive fighter. Ortiz is going to be boxing and moving. So I like that fight. If there was a fight I could make, I would say either Jamaine Ortiz versus Shojahan Ergashev or Jamaine Ortiz against Andy Hiroka. Andy Hiroka, he's one of these Japanese fighters that, you know, with Andy, he's a fighter that you know, he has some good wins on his record. Andy Hiroka has some really good wins on his record. Like, he already has a win over Jin Sasaki, who was a top contender at welterweight, and a couple other ones, but he needs a step-up fight. And I would like to see Ohashi Promotions, you know, make that fight happen because he's going to be in that southpaw stance. You know, he's tall, he's big, he's mobile. I would love to see that fight. But what do you guys think? My man said Jamaine Ortiz versus Subra Matias. Well, look, that might be a fight that you could file away and pencil in because Jamaine is a guy that is going to be higher risk, low reward. You know, a lot of people are not going to want to fight Jamaine Ortiz because he's good enough to beat you. You're not going to look good against him, and he's going to be very mentally taxing to go ahead and knock out. You know, Subra Matias, we know that a lot of these guys aren't eager to fight him because they just feel the money isn't right. Teofimo's talking about fighting in Honduras now, so he's on a whole another wave of things he's doing. So that might actually be a fight that winds up happening. Boxing Learner says, Teofimo Lopez isn't it? I used to be a massive fan, but I saw it coming years ago. Yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like I don't want to, like, downplay him, and I don't want to write him off because I did that with Josh Taylor, and he showed that on any given night, like, with the right fighter in front of him, he could always have that great performance. But, man, I feel like we may have already seen the best of him. So we'll see, you know. BT says, just don't marry those or we'll eventually read an article about you getting beat up. Nah, man. I appreciate that. These women's boxers can fight, but listen, man, I can fight too a little bit. You know, I didn't just learn boxing from sitting here and watching it. I'll just put it to you like that. Bo is my all-time favorite. I wish him the best in life. Yeah, me too, man. He's always great to be around. You know, it's always a treat to be around him. We will see how Matias beats movers. We will see how does Matias beat movers, or does he? No, Matias has fought movers. I mean, Matias fought. I mean, Dadashev was a bit of a mover. I think the Liam Paro fight would be a good fight for him because Liam Paro is going to show us, more so how he deals with movers because Liam Paro can do a little bit of everything. He can move, he can box, he can counter punch. He's got a little bit of everything. So, we'll see how it goes. The worst rivalries I watched in real time were Cloud over Campillo, Martinez versus Cintron, and Butte versus Librito Andrade, the first fight. Yeah, those are, man, you really going back. You going back to the Wayback Machine. I forgot about that fight. Librito Andrade versus Lucien Butte. That was a good one. Ryo stopped Teofimo twice in sparring. Yeah, but come on, man. That doesn't mean anything. Like, that doesn't mean a damn thing. I know fighters, big names, getting stopped in sparring all the time. Rob Valenzuela made his name off that. Janelson Figueroa stopped Teofimo Lopez in sparring, but Janelson Figueroa he hasn't really amounted to much in the pros. So there's a lot of sparring world champions out there, and that's why they're not world champions. They're just sparring champions. In your opinion, BT, what's the biggest trait you need to make the pros? I think it's durability. Discipline. I think the biggest trait you need in anything in life is discipline. A lot of fighters don't have the discipline to even become a durable fighter. I think they go hand in hand. Like, I think in order to become a durable fighter in the ring, you need to have the discipline to train at a certain level of intensity for a prolonged period of time. A lot of fighters don't do that. So I think fighters, they live such a secluded life, where they're not going out, they're not partying, they're not, living like most people in life. So this life of a fighter, it takes so much sacrifice. You're not allowed to be normal. You're not allowed to be, regular. And that's why the fighters at that top level deserve so much respect, because it takes so much sacrifice. It takes so much character to operate like that for a prolonged period of time. So for me, just like with anything, just like even with these lives, discipline. I didn't watch the Russian card this morning, but you can definitely go ahead and inform me. I still got boxing to catch up on, but inform me on it. I feel like anyone can figure out the skill and discipline, but if you can't take a punch, it's a wrap. Look at Amir Khan. He did his thing, but there's a lot of folks like him who, yeah, look, that's a genetic thing. Some guys have chins, some guys don't. Okay, so apart from discipline, I would say the best trait a fighter could have is the ability to just be coachable. Just be coachable. Like, be coachable. Be always try to learn and be the best you can be. Like, a lot of fighters, and I've seen it. Like, you guys seen it with Chris Colbert when he fought Ryo. He told his coach, "Listen to me. Like, kind of shut the hell up. Be quiet. Listen to me in the corner." And that's why he got put on the highlight reel by Ryo Valenzuela. So be coachable. Yeah, we hear all these legendary sparring stories, and the guys don't seem to show when. Yeah, like, I'll tell you guys, one guy that I've heard from so many people here in Vegas that used to beat the brakes off everybody in sparring, believe it or not, was Diego Magdaleno. Oh my God. I've heard some of the craziest stories about Diego Magdaleno beating the shit out of world champions in sparring. But then when you watch Diego Magdaleno fight the guys like Tio and all these other guys, he wasn't beating the hell out of them. So DJ MFB says, instead of fighting the toughest possible fights, fight someone good, but someone he can beat. You talking about Jamaine or Tio? But look, guys, shout out to everyone here. We're about an hour in, but I'm feeling good, man. It's my birthday. I'm gonna go live again on my actual birthday on West Coast time. So there'll be another live in about less than 24 hours. But I'm feeling so good that we'll let it rock out for like 30 more minutes, 20, 30 more minutes. Get your questions in. Definitely go ahead and drop a birthday super chat, show the kids some love. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Boxing questions, non-boxing questions. Y'all can ask whatever you want. I'm in a good mood right now. Paul Williams knew from a single sparring session that he had the sauce to handle Margarito and chased him until he got the fight and showed up on fight night. Not everyone is. Yeah, like, there are some fighters that when they spar a particular fighter, they can get enough intel on that fighter's style to know that, hey, if I ever fight this guy, I'm gonna beat the brakes off of him. That's why a lot of times, especially here in Vegas, a lot of fighters don't like sparring other top guys in the weight class because they don't want that fighter to get any intel on them. It's a big thing in boxing. Next Gen says, happy birthday, BT. Good to see you, champ. Zaru Abdullayev. Wow. See, I didn't even know that fight was going on. Who won that fight? That's a good little fight. I know Abdullayev, he beat Linares last time I heard about him. And Roger Gutierrez, the last time I seen him, he was on Pro Box getting stomped out by my boy Otar Aronosian. So what happened with that card? Next Gen says, and I've been studying up on Odebek, and yeah, Raymond Ford has got his hands full. Yes, I'm trying to tell you. It's a pick 'em fight. I'm picking Odebek to win, but for people to see, because I've heard people say that they don't know who Odebek is and this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, well, do your homework and learn a little bit, and you might see that it is going to be a good fight. Thank you, Mario. I appreciate you, champ. Got Larry Lopez in the building. It's your boy BT, the Untouchable True School Sports Empire. It's 9:30 p.m. Pacific time. The night before my birthday. I guess now it's my birthday on the East Coast, so I'm officially 29. I'm officially now less than a year from being 30. I can't even be just a kid from Dania anymore. I got to be just a man from Dania at some point soon. So I remember Margarito saying he didn't even remember the sparring session, but it was everything in the Paul. Exactly. And that happens a lot in boxing. It may not be a whole lot for one fighter. It may be a whole lot of something else for another fighter, That's why I think, every time you go to the gym, every time you spar, you got to, be on your P's and Q's about who and what, who you're sparring and then being a potential opponent for you in the future. So, yeah, man. I know, even when guys spar, you guys know I'm really close to Angelo Leo. I know when younger fighters spar Angelo, they want to make a name against Angelo because he's been a world champion, so it happens at all levels of boxing. We got another super chat. Shout out to my guy, Next Gen Sports TV, for the super chat. We appreciate you, champ. We thank you. And, we thank Al Heyman. We thank the man Al Heyman.
What do you think Al Heyman's doing for boxing PBC?
I'm not sure. I know he's doing great for me. Me and my daughters thank Al Heyman, in our prayers every night. He's changing boxing, but I can't really speak for everybody else. I'm speaking for me.
Thank you, Next Gen. He says, a little something for the birthday. Yeah, man. Shout out to Next Gen Boxing TV, Next Gen Combat Sports TV. He's always here. He's always giving great comments, and he's always uplifted me here. So I appreciate him, and I appreciate everyone here who's just chat with me. Thank you. BT, have you ever been to Canada? No, I've never been to Canada, man. I want to go. I've got a lot of friends in Toronto. I got friends in Montreal. I hear great things about Toronto. I hear great things about Montreal. I want to go in the summertime. I don't want to go there when it's cold. I'm from South Florida. I hate cold weather, so I want to go in the summertime at some point, maybe Montreal, Toronto for a couple days. Where did you get that clip from? My good buddy Hyro, who for some shit, I haven't seen Hyro here in a minute, so I might have to go give him a phone call, see if he's okay. He's normally here in the chat, but he sent me that clip. That clip is actually from an interview. It's Thomas Williams Jr. Thomas Williams Jr. If you guys remember Thomas Williams Jr., he had a couple fights back in the day. I think he fought Adonis Stevenson. He might have fought Tommy Carpensi, I think. He sent me that clip because he thought it was funny because he likes PBC a lot. So that's for Hyro. Scotty Barnes is from South Florida. Who's Scotty Barnes? Corey Lee says, awesome. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate you. And he says that I should interview Artur Beterbiev in Canada. I know a lot of people from his team. That's an interview that I really want to get. And I think all I got to do is just press for that interview a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that here really soon. But I love Beterbiev. By the way, I didn't acknowledge, I'm sorry. I didn't acknowledge Keen Mitch. Where's Keen Mitch? Keen Mitch said that he wanted a shout out from the sponsors, and I literally have this clip in my StreamYard just for Keen. So Keen, you know the drill. This live has been brought to you in part by our unofficial sponsor, Big Bay Miller. Tell them who our sponsors are.
Vienna sausage cinnamon buns. Wonder bread. Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Keen. Casanova says, we need some of the top up and coming South Florida fighters. Where is the talent? Oh, they're coming. Don't worry. You got some of the top talent on this Golden Boy card on the 16th. On the undercard of Jojo Diaz. Next card, you got Eric Tudor and Sasha Tudor, the brothers. They're both these Romanians that grew up in Fort Lauderdale area. Both really talented. They'll be fighting on that undercard, so check them out. You got Dominique Francis, Trap Francis, who's ranked in the top 10 of the WBA featherweight rankings. You got him. You got Lawrence BT Noon, who's ranked number 8 in the WBA bantamweight rankings. He's one of the most talented fighters in South Florida. You got Xander Zayas, the 54-pounder. You got him. You got Lorenzo Medina, one of the most exciting heavyweight prospects in boxing. You got him. You got my boy in a couple rooms down from me that I'm in the Airbnb with, Eric Lances Jr. from Homestead. You got him. There's a lot of talent in South Florida, and I cover all of them. You got Daniel Bailey, the 130-pounder who just took the O of one of Calvin Ford's fighters on DAZN back in December. There's a lot of good talent in South Florida, and I'm definitely still even if I'm in Vegas, I'm still the voice of South Florida boxing. So I'm gonna definitely always talk about those guys whenever I can. You got Luis Hernandez from Homestead, really good fighter. You guys be hearing about very, very soon when he turns pro. He says, "Wait, never mind. Teo is a South Florida. He is, yeah. Look, even though he went ahead and performed not pretty bad against him, he is from South Florida. He's still one of South Florida's very own. He's from the Davie Powell. He went to Western High School. We know about Teo. We know his history. Thank you, man. Thank you, D-Lo. I appreciate you, and thank you for the comments and the super chat and all that good stuff. God bless you, and have a good day." We got my man. Again, and now that he's here, right? Now that my man Steven, let me keep going with South Florida. Let me keep going. You got his fighter. You got Andrew Lawson, the Florida State champ. In the amateurs. You got him. You got Lorenzo Medina's brother, Lazaro Medina. He ain't turned pro yet, but y'all be hearing about him soon too. You got Sebastian Santana, another really good amateur that be turning pro soon too. You got him. There's a lot of fighters, man. There's a lot of fighters. I could just keep going and going and going. It don't stop. Even if you want to go to more of the older fighters that are still around that maybe aren't champions, but they're good veteran fighters. You got Steve Gaffard. South Florida will always have fighters. We'll always have our place in boxing. We'll always have fighters in active and relevant in these weight classes. So South Florida, we always want the smoke. Thank you, Steven. Appreciate you, champ. Hope all is well. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to seeing Andrew do his thing and you guys progressing in the pros. Al Powell says, "I just seen they put a Whataburger in the Vegas Strip. Are you going? Whataburger should have never left Texas." I seen it too. The other day, it was 4 days ago. I was walking the Vegas Strip, just patrolling the Vegas Strip, looking at the lights, talking to people, having fun, and I seen it too, man. I got excited. I'm hoping that the quality of Whataburger doesn't become trash now that it's not in Texas, because Whataburger is strictly a Texas thing. Now it's going to Vegas. Listen, all they need to do right is make that sweet and spicy bacon burger up to par, and we good. And Whataburger will be all right with me. Steven says, "Facts. Boxing runs even Florida. Appreciate you on the work you do for." Yeah, I try to, man. I try. I'm one man, but I try my best. So gonna keep doing it. Hopefully, more South Florida fighters get bigger fights, so I get more excuses to talk about them. I know there's a big card. By the way, anybody in the chat who's in the South Florida area, there's a show going on March 1st at Tropical Park, which is in Miami. It's a really good show. A lot of good local talent on that card. You got Lorenzo Medina, the most exciting heavyweight prospect in boxing on that card. You got Daniel Bailey on that card. You got a lot of good local South Florida fighters on that card. I don't think I'll be there because I'm probably going to be going to New York for the Otabek Komatar versus Raymond Ford fight. But I'm definitely going to make sure I have people send me some videos so I can throw some of that content up on here on True School Sports. Keep it coming, BT. You done put me on so many fighters, and I want to help cover them. Absolutely, man. There's the thing about boxing, guys, is there's so many fighters out there that I still haven't even made videos about. Like, guys, I have in my notes on my phone, I literally have like this one page of my notes on my phone of like 30 fighters I've never made videos about that I still have to talk about. So there's never a fighter not to talk about. He said there's lots of fine women on the strip. I don't think so. I'll be honest with you. I don't think so. I was talking about this with me and my boy Eric Lances Jr. We were walking the strip, and me and him had the conversation of like, it's not really that crazy. Like, we're from South Florida, where the grass is the greenest and the sky is the bluest and the girls are the prettiest. Like, so Vegas doesn't really have a lot. There's not really a lot of temptation when it comes to that department here. I think it's very, and because of that, it's very easy to focus here for us. Honestly, it's very easy to focus. What's a better boxing city, New York or Las Vegas? Definitely, for me, Las Vegas. I think that for fights, Vegas is better. For sparring and training, Vegas is better. New York is good too. I mean, New York is good for fights, for actually training and going to gyms. There's not a whole lot these days in New York, and the New York fighters will tell you that themselves. That's why Bruce Carrington lives in Vegas now and trains in Vegas. That's why a lot of the New York fighters live and train in Vegas now, because there's not a lot of sparring and top work in New York City anymore. Are you going to go to LA or Texas soon? Probably LA. I'll probably be in LA real soon. I have to go to Texas, man. Texas is somewhere I used to live, and I haven't gone to Texas since early 2022. And I got friends in Texas. I have to go see. So maybe I don't know. I don't rule it out. Maybe in March. I was thinking about going to Texas in March to go watch the Panthers play this Dallas Stars hockey game, and then go see my uncle and go see some friends in Texas, and then come back to Vegas and maybe cover Maxie Hughes versus William Zepeda. But I don't know yet. That's not set in stone. He said it's because there's more. Yeah, there's a lot of that in Vegas. Yeah. And Hitchens said it was hard to find southpaw work. It is a lot. I'm telling you guys, a lot of the old school boxing gyms in New York, like just to name some of the old gyms from back in the day that I know about, like from reading books and doing research, like Starrett City Boxing Club, gyms like that. You know, those old school gyms that New York had in the 80s and the 90s. A lot of those gyms closed down. So when you go to New York City now and you go to the boxing gyms there, the only gyms they really have in New York City that are prevalent, that have any work at all, are going to be Cops and Kids Gym, which is the Teddy Atlas gym, or Gleason's gym. And even Gleason's gym ain't what it used to be, right? Every other gym in New York is like a boxing and fitness gym, like a training like gym for like regular civilians or Instagram models. Because the crazy thing is, right, and if you ask any boxing trainer, who does personal training sessions, they'll tell you this. They make more money training like these Instagram models and these models than they do training most of these fighters. So that's why sometimes I've seen boxing and fitness coaches just completely pivot away from boxing and go into just training these boxing and fitness models, and they make way like 15 times more money doing that than the actual fighters. It's crazy, but it's the truth. And speaking of that, shout out to my guy Kevin Gleason. I know he trains a lot of those types of people. Raw Dog says that California has a lot of gyms. Yeah, man. I want to go to Cali while I'm out here, man. I want to try to go to Cali and go to the gyms out there. I actually know a guy. I know a trainer out in Cali who's really close to Junto Nakatani. So that's an interview that I could get very, very easily. So I'm hoping, maybe Junto Nakatani come back to California after his fight, and I can come see him. But because I know he's in Japan now. He left for Japan on the 4th. Because I was trying to actually squeeze that interview in before he left to Japan, but the time didn't work out. My man wants to know, what do I think about the Teo fight? I talked about it for like a whole hour. I thought Jamaine Ortiz won, but it was a close fight. Shout out to my guy Rafael Calvo. It was good seeing him the other day, and I got to see him again soon. He says, "Hey BT, what is your thoughts on Ryan blaming Devin for his house getting robbed?" I didn't see that. He blamed him for. I know that Ryan's house got robbed. I seen that on Twitter, but he was blaming him for his house getting robbed. I mean, if he's blaming Devin for that, then he's gonna get beat up. He's got issues. Big issues. I don't have any thoughts on that, honestly. That's just dumb. That's just stupid. Did you see the article on Inoue dissing Americans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, and Dominican fighters? He specifically said their style is boring. I didn't see his comments about the Dominicans, the Puerto Ricans, or any of the Latin countries, but I did hear him say that he feels that American fighters don't fight as hard as the Japanese fighters or something like that. And my thing with this, my thing with this was I like Inoue, but this is my thing with Inoue in regards to that comment. If that was really the case, then why was your ass out here? Why did your ass come out here to America for sparring? If that was really the case, why did you come to the USA for sparring? Make that make sense. And then my thing is, you can't just fight Antonio Nieves and Stephen Fulton and say, put them in a blender and say that's all of American fighters. You ain't even fought no Mexican. He ain't even fought no Mexican American fighters yet. So you need to go fight some some Ruben Villa, some Angelo Leos, some guys like that. Fight some guys, fight some Mexican Americans, fight all the different types of Americans, because that's the thing with America and American culture. You can't put the USA in a box because there's so many people from so many different places in this damn country. So you can't do like with most countries like Japan and say like in Japan, I love Japanese boxing, but a lot of their fighters fight very similar as far as the technique and things like that. They're very good. They're some of the best fighters in boxing, but their style is their style. As to where in the USA, a fighter in South Florida doesn't fight the way a fighter from Detroit or Ohio fights, and a fighter from Detroit and Ohio doesn't fight like somebody from Texas or California. So you can't put the quote unquote American style in a blender or in a box, because the American style is every style, because everyone in the world is here. That's just the truth. Yeah, that's on the list. That's definitely on the list. I'm definitely gonna go there before I mark my words. Before I go back home to South Florida, I will be at the Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. He says, I believe it. I keep up with the influencer misfit stuff a little, and I see legit boxing coaches with exactly. So it happens. I knew a guy. There was a dude I met here in Vegas in 2021. And he literally told me, he said, look, I'm not training these pros no more. It's about these influencers. It's about training these YouTubers and getting this paper. He told me in plain English. To be honest, I don't want to make it a race thing, but I really think he meant African-American peer. Okay. I get it. Has boxing been lackluster? You said good fights, but they aren't great fights. It's really, no, there's great fights coming up. Like Odebek versus Komatov versus Ford, to me, is a really fun fight. I love that fight a lot. I'm not talking about in terms of the quality of the fight. I'm talking about in terms of the size of the fight, how big the fight is. Odebek Komatov versus Ford, I think is going to be a fantastic fight for the featherweight division, but it's not a big fight. This year I don't think it has been lackluster. There's been some good fights this year. Like you've had I've been enjoying this year for boxing so far. Honestly, I have no complaints about 2024 for boxing, but that's just me. My fault. He just said they, not they. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you gave me some clarification on that. He said, like Shakur, Fola, and Jamel recently against Canelo, and maybe even Raymond Ford. Yeah, okay. If Inoue is talking about the Black American style, well, my thing is you've only fought, what is it, one? Maybe, let me see, who else has he fought? Has he fought any of the Black American fighters besides Stephen Fulton? Like, I don't think he can say that just by fighting one, Fight a couple more and see how it goes. Then you can make that assessment. Fight Bruce Carrington, fight the Angelo Leos of the world, fight some other types of Americans. I don't want to be that guy because I'm an Inoue fan, but I mean, he made the comment, so I'm rebuttaling his comment. Brandon Figueroa is another one. Figueroa in versus Inoue would be like shooting fish in a barrel. What do you mean by that? Al Pound wants to know, what do I think about the highest paid boxer list? Canelo, AJ, Jake Paul, Tank, Ryan, Fury, in that order. Three of them from Cloud. It's cool, I guess. I mean, Anthony Joshua and Canelo have always been two of the highest paid boxers. It's good to have, boxers on the highest paid boxer list. I just hope that all those fighters continue to give fans great fights so the sport can grow and get more fans, Canelo versus Crawford needs to happen for the sake of boxing. Canelo versus Benavidez is not going to move the sport like Crawford. I think Crawford versus Canelo will be crazy, honestly. As far as the event, I mean, the fight itself, I mean, it'll be what it's going to be, but the event is going to be crazy. And I actually think, Terence Crawford, I'm telling you guys, I was at Top Rank Gym the other day. I literally met Lester Martinez myself. I'll tell you guys a story. I was in the locker room. I was in the Top Rank locker room because shout out to my boy Zach. He's like a barber. He actually cut my hair. He cut my hair a little. He actually cut my hair while I was out here. My boy Zach, he actually gives everyone at the Top Rank Gym haircuts for free. And if you want to give him money, you can give him money. But he was actually cutting up Esau Dieguez, one of Terence Crawford's coaches. And while I was sitting there hanging out with my boy Zach, while he was cutting Esau Dieguez, I actually met Lester Martinez. So I know Lester Martinez is here in Vegas, and I know there's been pictures around the internet with Terence Crawford sparring Lester Martinez, who is a big guy, who is a super middleweight. So he's already sparring guys that size. So maybe, just maybe, they're already in camp for Canelo. And, we're getting close and close to that fight. No offense, but the Saudis still haven't delivered a big fight yet. We can't toot their horn too soon. That day of reckoning had one-sided fights. Eddie versus Frank ain't excited like it was in 20. Yeah. I mean, look, I think they're trying. I think they're definitely putting the money into the sport, but you're 1,000% correct. I went live for that entire Saudi Arabia card, and it was one of the most one-sided cards I've ever seen covering the sport of boxing. It was a glorified, showcase card. But it's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're live. We'll go like 10, 15 more minutes. If y'all want to, ask any questions, ask down below, subscribe. It's the eve of my birthday here on the West Coast. It's my birthday now on the East Coast. So if y'all want to show any birthday love, drop that super chat. We're here. Next Gen says, yeah, the energy in the crowd is not electric in Saudi either. And not even just that, like speaking from somebody who covers fights, I really love going to these fights and covering them. Like, I don't really get enticed to want to go to Saudi to cover fights. Like, it's too far. It's expensive. The fights really aren't going to be all like they haven't really made anything too crazy yet. I think they're trying though. I think they have some good ideas, but I agree with the comment that the jury's still kind of out on Saudi. You know what I'm saying? I personally prefer the Vegas fights, the fights in the USA, but again, I can't get too mad because boxing in America shot itself in the foot for years, like year after year after year. Boxing in America killed itself. Exactly. I mean, Joshua versus Wilder is a good fight. Steven, that's a fight that the fight fans have been feeding for years. Like Joshua versus Wilder should have been happened, but no, they thought they were smarter than they actually were. They wanted to put Wilder in a hard fight against Joseph Parker and AJ against Von Lee, and of course, one of them lost, and now we're here, and we're trying to, figure out why or what's next for Saudi if those two ever fight. And now the fight's not even as attractive as it once was. Like it's still good, we'll still watch it, but it just doesn't have that luster that it once had. You know what I'm saying? So they dropped the ball on that, and now they're doing this whole tournament thing now where they're gonna have the Fury versus Usyk winner fight the Ngannou AJ winner, and then it's good in a sense, but it's not good because it's freezing out like top contenders like Philip Hrgovic who deserve a title shot. So then it's further complicating the heavyweight division. So we'll see how Saudi plays out. We'll see how it all goes. Shout out to my man Rafael Calvo with the super chat. We appreciate you, Rafael. One thing about Rafael, man, he's been supporting me for years. Like 2016, me and Rafael been friends. Maybe even longer. It might even be longer than that. First time I ever came to Vegas, I remember staying with Rafael out there in Henderson, and that's one of my like real good friends in this world. Like always great to see Rafael. I know I'm gonna probably go see him a couple more times before I leave. So shout out to Rafael Cabo and hope you're well, man. God, be safe out there on the road tonight. God bless. I mean, I've talked about that fight so many times here on this channel. I thought it was a close fight. I thought Zhang gave away the majority of the second half of the fight, and I thought Hrgovic won by 1 point. But if they would have given it to Zhang, I wouldn't have been upset. They should do a rematch. That's what I think. I think they should do a rematch because there's a lot of controversy, and I know Hrgovic wants the rematch, and it's actually kind of been Zhang that really hasn't been too keen on the rematch. He's called out everybody but Hrgovic for the rematch. So I like to see that rematch happen at some point. I think their rematch is actually one of the best fights that could be made in the heavyweight division. So hopefully it happens. My man right here said, where's that one comment at? He said, Japanese boxers fight the same. Can you elaborate more on that? Yeah. When I say they fight the same, what I mean is the Japanese style is a very regimented style. It's very predicated upon straight punches, pendulum stepping, meaning that like they kind of like rhythm stepping into their punches, and a lot of their punches are straight punches. When you look at a Japanese fighter, I don't care if you look at Inoue, I don't care if you look at Kenshiro, I don't care if you look at Rhea Abe, I don't care if you look at anyone you want to name, Shinsuke Yamanaka, Subaru Murata, Ryota Murata. I mean, any Japanese fighter you can possibly think of. The one constant with all of them is that the punches they normally throw, okay, are a jab and a straight right hand. Okay, they're not really so much left hook fighters. I mean, there are some Japanese fighters that have great left hooks, like Inoue, but for the most part, their bread and butter is the jab, and it's the 1-2 down the middle. You don't really get a lot of, wide hooks, gunslinging type of Japanese fighters. Japanese fighters don't normally throw as many uppercuts as, let's say, Mexican fighters or American fighters. Their feet, they're not extremely wide. They have a good solid base. They do this little pendulum step bounce, and then they kind of shoot the 1-2 down the middle. That's how they fight. And it's a good style. It's a style that works well for them. What separates a regular Japanese fighter from like an elite Japanese fighter, like an Inoue or a Kenshiro, like the guys at the top that we know about, is the Japanese fighters who have that solid, disciplined, regimented style that also are also above average athletically. Those are the guys that go on to become champions and pound fighters, like Kenshiro, like Inoue, like those kind of fighters. The ones that don't have that elite athleticism but still have that solid base and that solid style, them guys, they're good, but they're not champions, So that's probably the best way I could describe it. Bud is an assassin. Canelo is a wannabe boxer. Do you see the difference? I mean, I'm no Canelo fan. I'm not gonna sit here and ever claim to be a Canelo fan, but I, respect the Canelo, man. He's in boxing since he was 15 years old. Who am I to shit on him, But I get what you're saying. Fighting Harada was the GOAT. He was the exception. I mean, fighting Harada, and it's funny you mentioned fighting Harada because obviously I know that name. If you do any history on boxing in Japan, you'll always find that name somewhere in the history books. But I started to go read more about her fighting Harada and watch him fight. But I know he was great. I know you have like him. You have like that southpaw with the afro, Yoko Goishin. Japan is a very rich boxing country, and I'm even now, what is it, 9 months later, I'm still like learning Japanese boxing. 9 months since the trip to Japan. My trip to Japan last year was in May, so it's been 9 months since then. I like Bivol style. It's very disciplined. It is. He actually fights. Believe it or not, Bivol actually fights a little bit like a Japanese fighter. There's some things in his style that are very similar to like Kenshiro. I feel like if you look at Kenshiro and Bivol, their styles and the punches they like to throw, their tendencies in the ring are very similar. The only difference is that Bivol's feet he uses his feet a lot differently than Kenshiro. Kenshiro is more of a straight line fighter, as to where Bivol, he bounces more, and his movement there's more dimensions to how he moves with his feet than a guy like Kenshiro. But they're similar, I think, in the punch they select. I'm thinking of starting to box as a hobby, and I always think of what my style would be. I'm not the biggest fan of pure boxing, though. So even though I'm probably gonna, yeah, I mean, look, definitely, I would encourage everybody, even if it's just to train, just to box, to spar. I've done it many times in my life, training, and I've sparred a good amount of rounds in my life. It's great. It gives you confidence. It gives you a sense of direction. It gives you it'll really open your mind up. You'll really start to conquer things in life when you start boxing and sparring. Because for me, that's happened with me. I feel like boxing gave me so much. Going to sleep. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Definitely do it next gen. I would encourage you and anybody in this chat to you don't gotta be a fighter. You don't gotta like turn pro or anything like that. Just train. Like I had a friend who called me yesterday, one of my best friends in the world, my boy on Pablo. He was going through some stuff, and I told him, I said, hey man, start training. It'll help you out a lot. So why go to Verona, New York when you can go to MSG to see Oshaki Foster? Odebeck ain't the same since he left his coach. He had like a fake fight in Mexico, I heard. Well, I can't go anywhere right now because I got responsibilities here in Vegas. I got to tend to. I got content I got to get. I got my buddy here, Eric Lances Jr., who's about to go to sleep. Looking for the best sparring. I got to make sure he's good. And definitely be with him while he's here. And I want to be with him while he's here because we're from the same town. We live in the same town in South Florida, Homestead, which is like the place that nobody wants to come because it's out the way and they always forget about us. So. I would rather be with Eric than go watch Oshaki Foster fight at Madison Square Garden. Odebeck and Ford's happening at the perfect time, and it's a fight that I'm interested in because by then, my time here in Vegas will probably be up, and it'll be time to kind of start moving again. But as far as Odebeck's fake fight in Mexico, I saw that too. I saw like he was because his record was like. I think he was like 10-0 and 9 knockouts, and now all of a sudden, like two random fights or one random fight just pops up on his box strike out of nowhere. So I don't know if he actually fought that fight or if it's a fake fight. There's definitely, and this happens, guys, like there are fighters that will have their teams or their teams will pay for fighters to get wins on their record that they didn't even fight. Like I once knew of a fighter in South Florida who I will not name. I will not say his name because I don't want to expose him. But I knew of a fighter who had 10 fights. He was 10-0, and he was going into a step-up fight a couple years ago, and he was fighting another fighter from South Florida. And half his fights were bought. He didn't even fight the damn fights. So that shit happens in boxing. Yes, Ace is right. Boxing, it teaches you a lot about yourself and the world. And I've learned. I mean, there's countries I've literally would not even know existed if I didn't follow boxing. Like Tajikistan. I never knew what the hell Tajikistan was until I was talking to a fighter one day, and he told me, "Yeah, I'm from Tajikistan." I'm like, "What the hell is Tajikistan?" And he had to go to the map and point it out to me on the damn map. And see, Steven Rodriguez knows that Homestead is super, super far. Yeah, man. Alex says, BT, we always see with your pops. What's your relationship like with your mom? LOL. That's interesting. My mom, I haven't talked to her in quite some time, but I love my mom. She's great. She's a great woman. My dad raised me from when I was a kid. I kind of had like everybody's upbringing, but in reverse. A lot of people, when their parents divorce, they go with the mom. I have my dad, so I'm not as close to my mom as I am my dad. But no, she lives in South Florida. I talk to her from time to time, and I gotta actually call her soon. She's been waiting for a call from me, and I think I'll probably be getting a call from her today because it's my birthday, and she's very big on these birthdays, like just her birthday, my birthday, birthdays in general. She's big with birthdays, so yeah. Shout out to my mom. The vibe is amazing in the boxing gym, unlike corporate gyms like LA Fitness. Yeah, Ace is telling the truth, guys. A boxing gym, I'll tell you this: if the world was more like a boxing gym, the world wouldn't be so crazy and so bad. Because you go to boxing gym, I've been in gyms where like you see people of all kinds of cultures, belief systems, income levels, and all that shit don't even matter when you're in the boxing gym. When you're in the boxing gym, you're just one of the guys. Like you're one of the guys, and you just go in. Everyone's just there training, trying to better themselves, trying to get stronger, trying to get fitter, and it's just a great place to be. All my best friends in the world now, honestly, like it's crazy. Like all my best friends, I'm the close. I would say like 98% 8% of my like closest friends in this world have something to do with boxing. And that's not a coincidence. Who do you favor in the Venado Lopez Rhea Abe fight? I think Rhea Abe has a good chance to call it. He does. Rhea Abe is a very good fighter from the southpaw stance. My only question is, I know he's sharp. I know his punches are sharp, and he's not no pillow-fisted fighter. But he's gonna have to make sure he don't get like clipped or hurt with those crazy like gunslinging punches of Venado Lopez. But look, he's got the right matchup because in my opinion, I think Venado Lopez is the weakest champion at 126. I would put the winner of Vargas and Ball over Venado. I would put Espinoza over Venado, and I'll put the winner of Komatov and Ford, which I think is gonna be Odebeck, over Venado. I think Venado's, Venado has already been beaten by a guy in the rankings, which is Ruben Villa. And I know Ruben Villa wants that rematch for the title, and Venado doesn't want to give it to him. So, yeah. Alex said, I found your channel back in 2019 when we were making vids about Teo versus Loma, and I remember you were always with Teo. One of the best predictions I've ever seen. Yeah, man. Yeah. Teo, I always thought had the style to beat Lomachenko back then, and it wound up being proven true. A lot of people didn't think Teo could do it. They thought that he was going to be someone that was just a hype job. And look, people are still calling him a hype job now because of the lackluster performances. But Teofimo Lopez is a damn good fighter, and they can never, ever take away that night against Loma from him. Devin versus Ryan feelings. What happens to Ryan if he loses horribly? I think Devin will beat him. And I think if Ryan loses, Ryan is probably just going to go ahead and, I don't know. Who knows? But I just hope, whether Ryan wins or Ryan loses, I really hope Ryan Garcia gets to a place in his life where he finds the Lord, stays with the Lord, and just stops getting caught up in all the nonsense of this life, like with social media and all these women who want him for his money, that want to get him pregnant because he's rich, just like calm down, man. Stop trying to be such a people pleaser with Instagram and social media. Life's too short for all that. The WBO president was hugging Teo's Lopez after the fight. He definitely had his chips in. Jamaine Ortiz, Jamaine Lopez deserves his credit. Deserve me finally on TV. Ortiz. I thought Ortiz won. And Paco, like I met Paco for the first time in person. Like he was cool with me, but Paco, he's the president of a sanctioning body. So and I'll leave it at that. If you've ever met a president, if you've ever met a president for the sanctioning body in real life, you kind of know how they are, He beat Taylor Loma. He just can't cut out the ring. The blueprint is on Teo. Exactly. And you know what? The blueprint is only out on Teo because Teo was taking the fights. So while we're sitting here and we're shitting on Teo for not performing against certain styles, guess what? He's only not fighting well because he's taking the fights. He's doing more than like for example, everyone wants to get on their knees and kiss the behind of Gervonta Davis, but Gervonta Davis don't even want to fight the top guys in the weight class. He's over here fighting. He keeps fighting these flat-footed, and there's no disrespect, but like these flat-footed, these flat-footed Mexican fighters with limited defense, or guys that are smaller than him coming up in weight. When was the last time Tank fought someone who was who could box at the level of a Jamaine Ortiz or a Sandor Martin? He hasn't fought that type of style. So he gets fighters that are perfect for his style. He beats the brakes off of them, and then Leonard Ellaby can just sit there and say that he's selling tickets and that he's his box office star and keep the gravy train rolling. And to his credit, he does sell a lot of tickets, and he is a box office star, but he hasn't been taking those kind of fights like Teo. And that's where I think people need to, while they're criticizing Teo, also see the other side of it too. He's taking tough fights. Ryan losing pay-per-view, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I like Tank, because I've had people come on here, people always come on in my comments, they want to flap the gums and say, oh, BT True School, you hate this fighter, hate that fighter. I don't hate nobody, honestly. My life is too good at this stage of my life, now being 29 years old, my life is too good. I'm too blessed to be stressed. I don't have any reason to hate none of these fighters. I just tell you guys the truth. The only fighter you guys can accuse me of probably hating is Jaime Munguia, but that's about it. Other than Jaime Munguia, there's no fighters that you could say I legitimately have disdain for. Keyshawn Davis looked good, but man, Jose Pedraza looked like a corpse. The dude had no energy, and not just that. Jose Pedraza is out here painting his fingernails. He was filling all up on Keyshawn. Jose Pedraza, I think he wanted more than a fight with Keyshawn Davis. That's just the truth, And it's sad because I like Pedraza. Pedraza has been one of the better Puerto Rican fighters, but I saw that picture and I kind of threw up in my mouth a little bit. Josh Taylor old fought a younger fighter, Teo. I knew Taylor was going to give up the belts. Dude wasn't really that good. No, Josh Taylor, you're tripping. Josh Taylor was an amazing fighter. You're crazy. It's just that Teofimo Lopez had some things in his style that he exploited and he lost. But that doesn't demean Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor was the first undisputed champion from Scotland since the great Ken Buchanan, one of the best fighters that's ever lived. He won a lot of fights that people said he wasn't going to win. I was here in Vegas when he fought Jose Ramirez, and everyone and their mother told me that Jose Ramirez was going to beat Josh Taylor, and I told them no. Jose Ramirez ain't like that. Jose Ramirez is a pretender, and Josh Taylor's going to beat the living shit out of him, and that's what happened when they fought. So, no. We're not gonna demean Josh Taylor just to demean Teo. That's not what we're gonna do. How is the Super Bowl energy in Las Vegas? I'm not on the strip anymore. I'm staying somewhere off the strip now, but it was cool. Like it wasn't like the South Florida Super Bowl energy, but it was cool. A lot of people there here in Vegas supporting the Niners. Filipino boxers all fight the same, flat-footed, just like Mexicans. Japanese have their own style, which makes them great boxers, not boring like American fighters. Nah, man, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna put American fighters down. I'm tired of everybody disrespecting the Americans. And I don't. When I say Americans, I don't just mean the Black Americans or the Mexican Americans. I mean all Americans. Everyone wants to put down American fighters, but then when it comes time to prepare for a fight, they come from their country to our country for sparring, and they go back to their country with the skills that they get from American boxing. So we're not going to do that. But I hear you. He says Filipino fighters are flat-footed. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Taylor lost to Catterall. I thought Taylor lost to Catterall. And I just think Josh Taylor's style, the reason why he was so effective at 40 was because of the fact that he was a bigger guy who was very spiteful and knew how to use that size and push you back. And when he stopped doing that, he stopped being as effective. So that's what happened. What is the biggest boxing move prediction for 2024? I feel that Saudi will invest in Top Rank. The biggest boxing prediction move for 2024? The biggest move will be when one of these boxing promotional companies tries to get a fight with Eric Lanzis Jr. and then he beats the living shit out of one of their fighters, and then they say, we need to sign this guy. That's my prediction. Of course, man. Pedraza is the Puerto Rican like Orlando Cruz. Puerto Ricans, listen, some Puerto Ricans swing the other way. Yeah, not this one. I like this Puerto Rican like Mexicanos. We're not doing that over here. BT, who's the greatest Hispanic fighter of all time in your opinion? Salvador Sanchez, hands down. Great fighter. I think everyone likes to like to downplay him and say, oh, he died too young. But man, he 40-something fights. He knocked out like 3 or 4 Hall of Famers. He knocked out arguably the best Puerto Rican fighter of all time in Wilfredo Gomez. He knocked out arguably the greatest African fighter in Azul Nelson. He also had 2 victories against Hall of Famer Danny Lopez. And even like his 6th best win when he beat Pat Caldwell, who was a bronze medalist in the Olympics, like he's got a great resume. I don't think people really understand how great Salvador Sanchez is. So I would say him as the objective answer, but the biased answer is Roman Gonzalez. Roman Gonzalez is the best fighter of all time. I don't give a damn. That's my guy. Who better than Roberto Duran or Julio Cesar Chavez? I definitely have Salvador Sanchez over Julio Cesar Chavez. I think he was just better. Like he had more skills. He beat better fighters, had better performances, had more iconic performances than Chavez. Duran, though, that one's tough. It's hard to put anybody above Duran because of everything Duran accomplished from 35 to 60. But I would say, yeah, Sanchez, Duran, maybe in Lex Arguello, you could throw him in there as well. A lot of great fighters, you know. Should boxing fights happen in more baseball stadiums? Imagine Yankee Stadium fighting with Terence. Yeah, shit. Yeah, Marlins Park, Yankee Stadium, Oracle Park in San Francisco. There's so many great baseball stadiums in this country. I would love if they can make fights happen, in some of the great baseball stadiums in America. It would definitely add to the ambiance of like fights too, because I think baseball stadiums are way more prettier, nicer than NFL stadiums. NFL stadiums are trash compared to baseball stadiums. When we talk about architecture and the way that baseball stadiums are constructed, that's just me. Salvador Sanchez was only in one division. Hagler won all the belts in his. Yeah, but I'm not saying Sanchez is the best because of him scaling weight class. It's the fighters he beat and the fashion he beat them in. Like when you look at the guys he really beat and how he beat these guys, it's hard to really argue against Sanchez. Canelo is getting up there too for the GOAT for Hispanic fighters if we're keeping it real. Not for me. I don't think I mean, when you say up there, maybe like what's up there, like number one? Because I don't think he's anywhere near that. Like, I wouldn't put Canelo on the level of a Salvador Sanchez or Duran or Arguello, or even like truthfully, and people may not like it, but it's just the truth. Like even Romo Gonzalez, I wouldn't even put him on there. But that's just me. He's great. He's a great fighter. I just wouldn't put him on that level. Maybe top 10 or like top 15 or something like that. I have to really like sit there and think about it and like write it down. But he has his legacy in the sport. How about in a hockey stadium? Oh, of course. One of my dreams is to one day cover a fight at the Florida Panthers arena. They used to have like a lot of Golden Boy did a couple fights there back in the day before I started covering boxing, and I really wish that they would come back to the Panthers arena, because it's my favorite arena in the world, and it's probably my favorite team in the world along with the Marlins. And I would love to cover a fight there or Marlins Park one day. It's a big dream of mine. But guys, look, man, we're 1 hour and 48 minutes in. I'm gonna wrap it up because it's time to go to sleep. But guys, it was great. Thank you guys for coming in and talking boxing with me, and appreciate all the super chats for my birthday and whatnot. I'll be live later on again when it's actually the 11th on the West Coast. I'll be live again, so we'll do a special birthday stream and keep the 90 days of boxing going. But I'm just like, I've had some birthdays these last couple of years where I was not happy at all. Like I didn't even care that it was my birthday. But I would say out of all the birthdays I've ever had, this year is like I'm the most appreciative, So I appreciate you guys. A lot of content coming out on the channel. Trying to think. There's no like fights really to like. I think when Eduardo Nunez fights Rakimov, so I'm not even sure when the next live fight reaction will be. But there'll be lives. There'll be videos. There'll be shorts. There'll be interviews. There's always boxing going on here on True School Sports. So you guys take care. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.